Okay, so hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for coming and checking out this video first of all, and I'm going to try something a little bit different on a couple levels. I'm going to do a cooking video, at least a preparation video, maybe a little bit of both. So today I want to do some beef stroganoff. I started it yesterday because I wanted to slow cook some beef, but I'm going to prepare it in a way that's going to be good for dinner, which is actually in the morning, but we'll reheat it for dinner tonight. And I'm going to do another preparation for the freeze dryer that should yield a little bit better results. I've tried some other meals in the past and I see a couple issues, picky things, no big deal, definitely edible, but things that could probably be improved. So I'm going to go ahead and experiment with it today, try it out, and bring you guys along with me. So let's go ahead and do this. Alright, so this is about the best I can get. I apologize about it. It's no professional setup. I don't have an island in my kitchen. I don't have a table to sit here and do everything in front of you. Hello? You're not going to see my face. And I'll go ahead and get started like this. Alright, so first off, in the slow cooker, that quits making some noise. Let's go ahead and do this. Put I think it was about a 3-pound chuck roast in the slow cooker yesterday. Cooked it for a while. I ran out of time. I had to go to bed. My girlfriend finished off, threw it in the fridge, so it's ready to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is all the fat comes to the top. Fat doesn't mix with a freeze dryer very well, so I want to get all that off, but I'm going to save it. So here, got a bowl. And I am just gonna spoon this off the best I can, at least. I got most of it. It's not gonna be perfect, but it doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to get most of the fat out for the reason of freeze drying. And that is a wonderful beef elixir in there. Now the way I cooked this was beef broth. I used Better Than Bouillon, which used to be really good. I think the quality's gone down on it a little bit, but I have a lot of it, so I'm using it. So I made a beef broth from the bouillon, or Better Than Bouillon. It's supposed to be base, but I think it's gotten more towards bouillon now. And some of my freeze-dried onions, I put about a half an onion in here. Maybe I should have put a little bit more, but I wanted the onion flavor to get into the meat. I think that's a good combination. That's about it. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to separate the meat, and I'm going to do about half and half, I think. Now I'm looking at it, I was going to do like 1/3 and 2/3, but I think about half and half is going to go pretty good. It's not going to freeze dry quite as much as I was originally thinking, but yeah, it'll work. That's the way it'll be. So right off of the bat, I'm going to taste it. Always taste so you know what you're dealing with. And it tastes like pretty good roast beef. There is some salt and pepper in there. I did put salt and pepper in that as well. So yeah, tasting pretty good. Good start, good ingredient. So setting the fat aside, I'm going to try to leave as much juice in here as I can and split this about 50-50, just eyeballing it. Looks like this is a little bit heavier. Close enough. I'm going to go ahead and go with that. And I'll be back. So I'm going to set half of that aside. I got my spoon. I'm going to be using that. Also got me a fork. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of chunk it. I'm not going to shred it, but I'm just going to break up some of the pieces to get a little more uniformity, or actually a little more coverage in the sauce, just so it's not a whole bunch of, or a few big chunks. And I also don't want it like a can of tuna fish that's been mixed too long. So just something kind of in between. You know, break some of these up. I should probably wash my hands because I use my hands a lot, and I did not wash my hands yet. This is more my girlfriend's idea using roast beef. I've always used like a London broil or some sort of steak, a cheaper type of steak, and I've used that. But we did this last time and it was very good. I'm gonna go wash my hands. Okay, good to go. So now I'm gonna dig in a little bit better. Break these chunks up. It's a lot faster with your hands. It is very cold right now because it's been sitting in the fridge overnight. Yeah, that was a tender piece. Yeah, so it's just kind of, it's hard to see with the light. All right, so that is both of them done. One is a little bit more shredded up than the other one, the one that I started using my hands on. So I'm actually going to use that for the freeze dryer because it's going to dry a little bit better. Smaller pieces of meat are going to dry better than the bigger pieces of meat. So I got this one. This is the one I'm going to use. I have this wonderful elixir. And I'm going to separate this. I'm just going to eyeball it and use a pan for this one. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and get a large, I think about a 16-inch, biggest pan you got, or whatever pan's going to fit the amount that you're making. Got it on high, and my precise measurements. Make sure you get no paper. I'm just going to cut this on the side of the pan, knock over the chunks, and that's actually about a tablespoon. And as that heats up, I'm also going to use some of the fat as well. I'm going to take about half of it. And other stuff I'm going to go ahead and throw out since I'm not going to use it for the other batch. Alright, so it's coming up, starting to simmer, boil, fry, any way you want to look at it. So I'm going to kick it down to 4 out of 10, and that should be plenty of heat. So now I'm going to come in, I'm going to add some flour to it. About a tablespoon, about 2 tablespoons, and I'm going to see what it is. It should be about the consistency of wet sand. And you want to use about 50% fat, 50% flour. And this is a roux. This is going to thicken the sauce up, make it nice. It's already smelling pretty good. So it's going to take a little bit more. That should be good. It's a little bit wetter than a wet sand, but this will be good. So now I'm going to go ahead and rinse my hands off, but I'm going to let this cook down a little bit. You can see the color of it. You want to start getting just a little bit of browning to it to make sure that the flour is cooked. You do not want to burn it. It will completely change the flavor of everything. So we go wash up. Alright, so I don't know if you can see it or not, but right here it's definitely starting to get a little bit more brown. It's exactly what I want. Not quite as brown on the other side, but this happens fast, so you don't want to wait. You want to have everything ready. So this is going to stop it. I'm going to pour in that wonderful beef juice. Get all the little drops that I can. Now right here, you're basically going to have some of the best gravy in the world. And now for that roux to thicken, it has to come to a rapid boil. And that's going to be the thickness that you're going to have using the roux. So I'm going to kick this back up to high. Now I'm going to come in with some lean parins, Worcestershire, Worcester, any way you want to say it, you know. So about 2 teaspoons, give or take a cup. Just want to give it a good, yep, still got that bite from the wine, but looking pretty good. So basically right now, I'm just going to let it cook down for a minute, let it reduce a little bit, and clean up a little bit. Alright, so while that's kind of reducing down, I put it back up on high. I got to pay some attention to it. Yes, because when I get sidetracked and I'm talking and stuff like that, I forget about it, it burns, the whole thing goes to waste. So I want to make sure to keep stirring it. I turn the power back down. I want to bring it back up to a boil. But the power's back down to 5. Just go ahead and let it simmer a little bit, let that wine cook out, let that garlic dissolve, you know, just let all the flavors kind of start to mend a little bit. So while that's going on, I want to explain like the difference between the freeze drying that I'm going to experiment with this time and the way I'd normally do it. Normally I'd go ahead and throw everything together. It's kind of a one pot deal. You know, I'd brown the meat and then start adding everything on top of the meat. So for the freeze drying, I want to freeze dry different ingredients separately. So I'm going to freeze dry the beef separate from the mushrooms, separate from the sauce. At the end, I do egg noodles or dumplings, the very wide egg noodles. That's what I eat stroganoff with. Me personally, do rice, do any kind of starch that you want. But I will cook that when it's time to eat it. I'm not going to freeze dry it. I've had instant noodles. Personally, I think they kind of suck. The texture's off. It's not too hard to boil water. I can boil water on my wood stove, cook the noodles, strain it out. It's not really that hard of a task. So even like no power, you know, any situation, you're going to be able to cook rice, noodles, pasta. You can boil water. So I'm going to do that at the time of eating it. So for today, in the meal today, I'm going to go ahead and pre-cook the noodles so it's ready tonight whenever we want to eat it. So let me stir it. Okay, so I'm going to freeze dry everything separately. Why am I going to do that? Well, I noticed when I did a chicken marsala, and when I reconstituted it, heated it up and ate it, it was very mono-flavored. I guess just, it tasted great. It tasted exactly like when I made it, but there was no separation of flavor in it. It just tasted like marsala all the way across the board. You couldn't taste chicken, you couldn't taste, you know, I put mushrooms in it. You couldn't taste any separate thing. And I noticed like with some of the big commercial brands like Mountain Home and stuff like that, everything is basically separate. The sauce is a powder over the vegetables, over the meat. It's not all together at one piece. And it wasn't all together at one piece and they crumbled it up into a powder so it's easy to reconstitute. It was done separate. So, you know, there's a good chance that they just have a stockpile of peas and carrots and diced chicken and stuff like that, and they say this much, this much, this much, this much, and there you go, you have your dish. So the difference between it is whenever you start to reconstitute it, the sauce is going to kind of powder. It's going to become quickly reconstituted compared to the other things. So as soon as the chicken starts to reconstitute, it's going to reconstitute with the sauce not water. So you're going to completely ingest the whole flavor of the sauce into anything else that's going to take a little bit longer to reconstitute, if you get what I'm saying. So if it's separate, everything is going to get water at one time. So it's going to originally pull in no extra flavor. So it's going to taste like chicken or beef. Then maybe towards the end, or even just a couple seconds later, but the process happens pretty quick, you're going to start getting that sauce that's going to become the component to reconstitute. So you're going to always get some on the outside of it, which is okay. But it's not going to be 100% the flavor of the sauce. It's going to taste like chicken on the inside and then have a little bit of sauce on the outside, which is perfect. That's exactly what I'm shooting for. I've never tested this. This is just kind of going off of my knowledge. Seems to make sense. I'm going to try it out this time, see how it works out whenever I reconstitute this one. I have a feeling it's going to work because that's just watching videos of people. I've never even had a mountain house before. But just looking at the product, especially when they do side-by-sides, there's some people, hang on. Oh yeah. Tasting good. Anyway, there's people that do videos and they do a side-by-side of different brands. They'll do like a chicken teriyaki or something like that, and they'll dump one brand in a bowl, another brand in a bowl, so on and so on. So, you know, people are talking about the texture and the taste and stuff like that, but I'm actually looking at the ingredients on those videos and seeing how those companies put it together, and this is what I've kind of come up with. So this is what I'm going to try. So anyway, figured I'd go ahead and tell you, since I kind of touched on it in the beginning and I never explained it. That's what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go ahead and try it. Yeah. So let's get back to it. All right, so this is looking good and tasting very good too. So that's it. Pretty much done, right? Well, kind of. All right, so now I'm going to separate it. One. It's going to take a while. All right, so that's pretty close. Good enough for me. Now I'm going to put a little bit of water in this glass bowl, get all the goodies out of there so I'm not wasting anything. So just a couple tablespoons. All right, so now this bowl here, I'm banging a lot, but this bowl here is what I'm going to use for the freeze dryer. So now, oh no, dang it. Okay, quick fix, I forgot something. Sour cream, critical component. But this can be done just as easily. This is a good measuring device. I'm just going to cut it in half, actually a little bit more. Make sure I actually grab the sour cream and not the cottage cheese. So that seems good. And now for this, I'm just going to add that in as well. About 50-50. I'm also going to add just a little bit of cream. Just kind of finish this off. Now I should be checking it to make sure. It is good. Oh, yes, I'm a happy man. And this one is ready to start here. Oh, so that is a 16-ounce tub of local sour cream. So I did 8 ounces in each one. Cream, I just put maybe a tablespoon in each of them, so maybe 2 tablespoons for this. Now just to make sure this is tasting as good as the other. I think it was. Yes, sir. So now I got the beef. I'm going to dump the beef in. Get every little piece. And this does have the onions in it as well. Yeah, buddy. A 12-ounce can of mushroom stems pieces, just the great value stuff. This stuff has gotten so expensive. You can get fresh portobellos, you can get canned portobellos for the same price as kind of junk mushrooms, if you will, just chunks and pieces and parts and whatever. Great value mushrooms have gone up. They used to be, for the small cans, 49 cents, and they're $1.20 now. Crazy. So there we go, one 12-ounce can. Got them all. And let's give it a stir. I actually turned it off for a split second to make sure it didn't burn, so I got it back up to 4, which is kind of a medium to medium high in that range. So now there's a lot of sauce that was absorbed into that beef, some fat still stuck to the beef. And it's just going to add a little bit more flavor to it. So yes, that is looking pretty good. Try it with a little piece of beef. Oh, that was a mushroom. Yeah. Tasting real good. And no, usually I make a lot of adjustments to things, but it's pretty dang good as it is. Alright, so that one is basically done. Now I have these ingredients to freeze dry separately. Now, one thing I'm going to add to this, the sauce, which is a little bit different. You ever seen this stuff? That's right. It just sits in the back of a cupboard, never gets used. Here's a good time to use it. So this is cream of tartar. This is basically, it's like an alkaline, it's a byproduct for making beer, I believe. But what this does when it comes to freezing dairy, freezing creams, and even not freezing creams, it stabilizes so it doesn't break apart, it doesn't break the sauce, it doesn't make it chunky or anything like that. It should, in theory, reconstitute is the same consistency as this. So you don't need a lot, just like a little pinch. I'm going to do about a half a teaspoon. Make that about a teaspoon. And it actually has a little bit of a bite to it. A little, kind of hard to explain, but it's not sour, but it has a little bit of bite to it, which will actually go pretty good in this. It's not very noticeable. You can put it in a lot of stuff, but basically anything you're going to freeze dry that has a cream base to it, this is going to keep it from getting destroyed. There's a lot of chemical versions of it that people use in like Swanson's TV dinners and stuff like that for macaroni and cheese. They use the chemical version of it. This is pretty much non-chemical and natural. Get a fingerful. I almost drooled all over the cutting board. Yes, that's me and Stroganoff. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this away now. And that's gonna be about it. I'm gonna go ahead and freeze dry all this stuff separately. And I'll probably do a separate video for that, because I have stuff in the freeze dryer right now, so it's not gonna happen at this moment. But I'm gonna go ahead and get these in the freezer, get it pre-frozen, so it's gonna be ready to go. And I'm gonna cook up some noodles and eat me some stroganoff. Yeah, good stuff. Give it a shot. Now I'm going to admit something, something I didn't say before, is I was kind of tasting it since the last clip that I shot, and I was thinking it just needed something. It was delicious, it was pretty much spot on, it was spot on, but I'm like, what else could make this better? So I got about a tablespoon, a little less than a tablespoon, 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. Squirted it in there, mixed it up. Oh, I think I'm gonna use that from now on. Yeah, the wine sweetened up a little bit. Just a hint of the Worcester. Yeah, delicious, real beefy. Nice. All right, so that's that. Guys, have a good one. I'll do another video and hopefully a side-by-side with the freeze-dried one and show you guys how that one turned out. Hopefully it's going to be about exactly the same as this. So, all right, so thanks a lot. Stroganoff, can't go wrong with it. Good stuff. Hit that subscribe button if you would like to. I would appreciate that. Leave a comment. How do you guys make it? It's always good. Doesn't matter how you make it, it's good. All right, so until next time, peace.